If you're a Nissan owner, you know that little sinking feeling when a new code pops up on your dashboard, especially the P1271 error code. It's like, what is my car even trying to tell me right now? Well, in this explainer, we're going to crack that code, figure out what's causing it, and give you a clear roadmap to getting it fixed.
The check engine light. It's basically your car's way of saying, hey, we need to talk. But it's not trying to be mysterious, I promise. That P1271 code is a super specific message. And today, we've got the translation key.
So let's get right to it. What is your car actually saying when it throws a P1271 code? Let's decode this thing.
Okay, so here's the official line. The P1271 code points to a problem with the air/fuel sensor 1 circuit, specifically in bank 1. Now, don't let the jargon scare you. Bank 1 is just the side of the engine that has the number 1 cylinder. So right away, your car's computer has already done a ton of work and pinpointed the problem to a very specific area. The keywords to remember here are air/fuel sensor and circuit. That tells us exactly where we need to look.
And you know, your car is incredibly precise. This code doesn't just pop up on a whim. It gets triggered when the main computer, the powertrain control module, or PCM, sees a voltage signal from that air/fuel sensor that is right at or super close to 0. It's not a guess, it's a hard number. It's the electrical equivalent of that sensor screaming, "I've got nothing, I can't send any information."
So what's the big deal with this air/fuel sensor anyway? What does it actually do, and why is it so important for your engine? Let's meet the hero of our story.
To understand this sensor, you first have to understand the brain of the whole operation, the powertrain control module, or PCM. This little box is your car's central computer. It's the boss, managing the engine, the transmission, and basically making sure everything runs just right.
And if the PCM is the brain, then the air/fuel sensor is its trusty nose. It's positioned in the exhaust, and its entire job is to constantly sniff the gases coming out of the engine to measure how much oxygen is in there. It sends that information straight back to the brain, the PCM, which then adjusts the mix of air and fuel going into the engine to make it perfect. But when that nose goes numb, when it sends that 0-volt signal, the brain can't do its job. It knows something is seriously wrong, and bam, it turns on the check engine light to get your attention.
Okay, so we know the sensor signal is totally dead. But why? Let's investigate the 4 most common culprits, the usual suspects behind this code.
So the first 2 suspects are all about the wiring. Think of them as the communication lines between the sensor's nose and the car's brain. You could have an open circuit, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a broken or disconnected wire. It's just like a cut phone line. The signal simply cannot get through. Or you might have a shorted circuit. This is where a wire is accidentally touching a piece of metal it shouldn't be, grounding it out. This creates a sort of signal traffic jam, and the right message just can't make it to the PCM.
So here it is, the full breakdown of the culprits and their cures. As we just talked about, you could have an open or shorted circuit in the sensor's wiring, and the fix for that is, well, to repair the wiring. The next most likely cause is that the sensor itself has just failed. It's a goner, and it needs to be replaced. And finally, while it's much less common, the problem could be with the brain itself, the PCM.
Okay, with 4 potential causes, you might be wondering, where do I even begin? You definitely don't want to just start replacing parts. You need a logical plan. So let's walk through the diagnostic checklist.
Here is your game plan. Step 1, and always start here, just use your eyes. Do a visual inspection. Check out the sensor's wiring harness for any obvious signs of damage. Frayed wires, corrosion, maybe something got chewed on. Step 2, if everything looks okay, you gotta test the circuits with a multimeter to see if you have an open or a short. Step 3, if the wiring and the circuits check out, then it's time to evaluate the sensor itself. And then, and only then, if all of that fails, you move to step 4, considering the least likely culprit, a faulty PCM.
All right, let's wrap this up and recap the key takeaways to get you and your Nissan back on the road hassle-free. This really sums it all up. That P1271 code might look a little scary on your dashboard, but it's pointing to a very specific and very fixable problem. The absolute key is that with the right diagnosis, you can get to the bottom of this and get your car running smoothly again.
So let's boil it all down. 1. The P1271 code is a direct message about the air/fuel sensor circuit in bank 1. No mystery there. 2. The cause is almost always one of 4 things: bad wiring, either an open or a short, a bad sensor, or a bad PCM. 3. Always diagnose it systematically. Check the easy stuff first, wires, then sensor, then the PCM last. And most importantly, number 4, remember this is a solvable problem.
So, how cool is that? You've gone from seeing a confusing warning light to understanding exactly what your car is trying to tell you, and, more importantly, how to start tackling the problem like a pro. You've learned a little piece of your car's language. Thanks for joining me.